In this episode of 6 Months to 6,000, we talk about Carter's 8-hour live stream, the Dream 100, and why YouTube Shorts is the place to be. Let's go. We went through the whole roadmap, right? Link in the description if you want to download that. But we went through the whole roadmap, and I can almost name the few subscribers that did subscribe because I asked them to subscribe. So I was like, oh, there's, she subscribed or he subscribed. It's so funny. And I posted that short, that YouTube short with me and Sam Parr, just to see if that would get any, bump or whatever. And it did, right? It got like over 100 views. So the YouTube algorithm is really primed for that kind of content right now. Like they promote it, they help it. And so YouTube Shorts is where it's at right now. So the strategy really is put out your videos, but clip as much as you can for YouTube Shorts, right? And that's kind of your one of many channels you can market to kind of get more eyeballs into what you're doing.
Yeah, I don't even know where you get shorts. I mean, I went to your page and it had your videos, and then it had shorts. And I was like, I saw the Sam Parr one. Like, I'm just so technologically, I'm not on the cutting edge of anything, like
it's not hard. You create a vertical instead of a 1920 by 1080, which is what this is. Just turn it like this. It's 1080 by 1920 vertical, and it's got to be less than a minute, and it automatically becomes a short. So YouTube will, if it's under a minute, YouTube will automatically make it a short.
Because they're just trying to fight TikTok.
Yep. That's the format du jour. So everyone even Facebook just made a huge change where they're making or Instagram, they're starting to morph into TikTok, right?
At what point are they just going to merge Instagram and Meta? I mean, never.
I've asked the same thing. Everything's converging onto the TikTok success, right? It's just like that quick swipe, and I've watched people use this. It's fascinating. You watch people use it, and it's literally like you get less than a second. They used to be like, oh yeah, 3 minutes. That's a short video. Then they were like, oh no, like a minute is pretty short. And it was like, no, 30 seconds. And they're like, 15 seconds is pretty, that's what now it's like, man, if you don't catch them in the first like second, it's like swipe. And I like,
but that's not who I'm going for,
no,
like that's not my target,
right.
So like I'm going for the people that are listening to Jordan Peterson and Joe Rogan. I've been thinking a lot about that in the past week. Like you said, there's something to, and then I watched the video from Joe Rogan, a clip of him and who's the Andrew Schultz, the new comedian, or the comedian put out something and got canceled. And so he's promoting it himself. and he was saying, they were talking about Jay Leno has Jay Leno's Garage, and Joe Rogan apparently was on the show years ago with his 65 Corvette or something. And they were saying how genuine Jay Leno is in that show compared to when he was hosting the Late Show or whatever it was. And they were just saying how he just loves cars. And so he spends all day with his guest on that show. He has like 11 garages and stuff. And what they said was it was authentic.
Yeah.
And that people connect with that authenticity to where you're not just trying to grab subscribers. You're not just trying, and I was like, yeah, like that's what I don't want to lose sight of like chasing the next trend or the next thing. It's like, be who you are and that authenticity, but figure out how to be efficient with who you are. Like, your marketing, your whatever, like there are definitely things you can do to up your game, but don't lose sight of who you are in trying to chase.
Sure.
Whatever.
I can agree with that, but don't look at it like you're changing who you are. You're marketing it, right? Like you mentioned watching a Joe Rogan clip, not the 2-hour, 3-hour long thing, right? Yep. Right. So the way that those guys get you interested or even let you know that something's happening is they drop a clip of a really cool moment.
Well, it was like
and then you're like, oh yeah, I got to listen to that. Right.
Yeah, I mean, but it was long. I mean, like Joe Rogan's clips are the entire conversation, so they'll be like 12 minutes or 8 minutes or 10 minutes. Like they're just a longer deal. But I think it's fascinating because I get caught up in that. Okay, like yeah, like where are you going to have like a 2-second soundbite? Are you going to try to brainstorm silly things
No,
on
it's not that
TikTok
you're
or
making a
whatever?
2 second clip. It's just that, the guy we met at Sam Parr's producer, I think his name's Ben. You know who we met?
Uh-huh.
Sam interviewed him on the podcast, and he's like, hey, I hear you talk to Mr. Beast, and Mr. Beast followed Ben, and then like DM'd him and was like, hey man, you want to talk? And Ben was like, like going to sleep or something, and he like jumped out of bed and was like, sure. And his wife's like, what's going on? And so he jumped on the call and like had like an hour and a half call with Mr. Beast. And then Sam and Sean were like, what the heck did you talk about? And so Ben was like, well, I can't talk about everything, but he was saying that Mr. Beast was saying that audio is very forgiving. So like podcasting is very forgiving because people are listening passively, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they're mowing the lawn or doing dishes or working out or whatever, and so they tolerate the ums and ahs and different just natural language. Whereas visually, you have to edit it. And Mr. Beast was saying you have to edit the visuals because it's got to be snappy. It's got to be sharp. You can't have like lulls where they can just click away, right? Because there's a visual nature to it. And so it was really interesting to hear Ben, share his conversation with Mr. Beast and what Mr. Beast was learning. But strangely enough, Mr. Beast was learning from Ben as well about, what he does and his podcasting and his show. Because Ben has like How to Conquer the World, or I forget what the name of his show or episode. I haven't checked it out yet, but Mr. Beast was intrigued by it because he goes through all the titans, like the Carnegies and the Edisons, and he
Oh,
does the whole
interesting.
history of how they came to notoriety or whatever. So and he goes really deep like on the research. So anyway, I thought that was really interesting that the audio is a little more forgiving than the visual, because the interesting part of my habits, at least, and several other people that I've talked to, is they won't even watch interview style YouTube videos. They'll listen to them, right? It's like once they get
Sure.
it playing on YouTube, they'll just like put it in their pocket and like just listen. They won't be like watching, them talk. So
Totally. Yeah, because
interesting.
it's just a talk. I mean, I think that's the point is that are you trying to sell a show of doing something? Are you showing something? Are you presenting, or are you having a conversation? Is your value add intellectual, or is it some sort of visual? And I don't think I'm going for, even though I'm on YouTube, it's uh it's more of an intellectual, audio type thing.
Right.
It's just easier for me to turn my laptop, flip it open, hit record, and then upload it to YouTube.
Right. Right. Yeah. And so how was your week going? Like what's been the challenges this week, and where are you at with your channel?
The two big ones would be the housing and everything. I mean, all of that is just that life is getting in the way, and I knew it would be big, but then that's getting delayed and it's just a mess. All my plans for tomorrow just got scrapped at like 4:30 this afternoon, so you're just like, oh, okay.
So you finished your second video like this weekend, or this past weekend.
Yeah, so I had it finished earlier, like 4 or 5 days earlier, but I told you like I'm just gonna post it. Like I'm trying to post it on a certain day. And so I was like, I'm just gonna wait till the next day rather than just posting them whenever. And then I need to add a thumbnail. And so one of the things I found after I posted that video, I was looking through the analytics because I just haven't had time to do much of that and I've forgotten, but I was like, oh, what about analytics? I don't have that many videos up right now to look at the new analytics. And it said like it has a map of every day of the week and when your viewers are on most. And so I was like, well, why would I post? I'm posting videos on Friday or Saturday my first two videos. One was on Saturday and then one was on Friday. And then I was
No
like,
one's
right after I
watching.
did that, it was like Monday and Thursday were like the brightest, whatever. So I was like,
Why do you think we chose Monday?
so I was like, bro, I was like, all right, I'm changing that up. So I learned, so I'm going to start changing that up. But I did a show Wednesday night. I don't know if you saw
I
on the
haven't
channel.
I haven't watched it yet. I saw you post it, but I was like I said, I was with the family at the beach, and
Yep.
I couldn't watch it or whatever.
Did
But
you see how long it was?
no, 8 minutes.
Oh no, 8 hours, 19 minutes.
What?
I did a live show, like that weekly thing that I do. So I've been consistent with that. My made up
Yeah,
videos
that's great.
are less consistent. So I'm doing a second video. I've like for the 3 weeks or so we've been doing this. I've done 2 videos one week, 2 videos another week, but it was 2 live videos, and then I did 2 videos this past week, but one was live and one was done. So anyway, I've done 4 live videos and
How'd you
2.
do eight? You did an 8 hour straight video?
Mhm.
How?
Mhm. 8 p.m. to 4:20 a.m.
Wait, you pulled an all-nighter? Are you serious?
Dead serious.
You just were like an insomniac, and were you talking to somebody, or just talking to
Yeah,
the
I had
camera?
I had 3 different guests on. One from
From like
Maryland.
different time zones?
Yeah.
Dang.
And so I got like 206 watch hours. So this week I had like
Well, that's one way to do it. Okay, guys, here's the plan. Just go live on YouTube and never stop.
and just crank. So yeah, so anyway, this is part of that community that's they're invested in when you're having people from that community on, but then they're all over the country, they're all over the world, and so they're tuning in at different times.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so yeah, so I mean, we can, you won't see my analytics in the last 7 days since we recorded. Yeah, I got 492 watch hours.
Wow. What's your current subscribers right now?
489.
489. Very good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously activity is going to help, right? Like anything you're doing, but for the purposes of your transition, your pivot, you're still kind of reviving your past topic, past list, right? Like, and it's not to say you're going to leave them, right? It's just you're not making the kind of content that you think you want to continue into the future making, right?
Yeah, well, that's going to end. I mean, the hunt had the chase, as they call it, as we call it, has ended. The treasure was found. All that stuff's over. This is this is our reflection tour,
Yeah.
and everybody likes it. And somebody was like, "Oh, this is like watching Oprah," and whatever. And and so it is kind of morphing into hey, what are you doing in life? The next thing, and so it's so people are like, "Oh, wow, that's cool," because it's more of, you're not just talking about a treasure hunt and trying to find a treasure hunt. It's like, oh, cool, like you were a person, and still are, and have a life, and that's cool.
You're still a person.
Yeah, that's great, and we're gonna tune in. And so my thought was, so one is, so I checked, I went back in the history, and the most subscribers I ever had was 560. And then I got down to 464 when we started. So I lost almost 100 over the 2 years that wasn't really active. And so I'm sure, every single one of the 25 subscribers or whatever, 25 that I've gotten back in the last, 3 weeks or so is just people that are in the community that unsubscribed because I wasn't doing videos, and now they're resubscribing, and they're like, oh, cool. And so the more I thought about it, though, was the conversation we had is, am I the type of person that's trying to go as deep as a Ben Shapiro or a, or that Ben guy or Jordan Peterson? And like, no, I don't have 30 years of research. I'm an intellectual guy, and like, in the fact that I like to read and I like to have what for me are deep conversations, but I probably wouldn't bend Jordan Peterson's, mind,
Who cares,
just in
right?
terms of
Like,
his, because that's his expertise. But we could
right,
have a good conversation about other things and experiences, and he would bring the expertise. Sort of like Joe Rogan. He's not, he's interested in a lot of things. He's not the expert on much, other than MMA and maybe comedy. But so I was just thinking about it, and with my, the emails that I've had back and forth this week with other people, and then looking at your roadmap to bring it back to consistency, that expertise, the one-on-ones. I think that's something that I really do enjoy in having the conversations with people. And then, the hardest part for me is, who do you get to come on, because there are certain topics that people want to talk about. And then there are other topics that people will talk about as long as they're not recorded on camera, whatever, but they're like, yeah, I want to talk about it, but I'm terrified of being canceled and fired, or,
right.
whatever the situation may be. And I have a unique situation where I'm not worried about any of those things now. And so that always held me back before. So just thinking about, okay, maybe that pivot is, I still need to make some videos, but maybe that's something that I'm working towards in 2 months. I knew July and August were going to be difficult consistency wise. There's going to be about a 2-week period in August where hopefully the baby doesn't come and I can like crank work, and that will get me a month later. But then I was like, okay, well then what? We'll see. I have no idea what fatherhood's going to bring me. So this changes my conversation with you, is like, there's all this branding, there's all this stuff where I think I can get better at the channel. But if the content or the marketing isn't there, and that was another slide. She was like, if you have great content but you spend 90% of your time on content and only 10% on marketing, crickets.
Yep.
And then if you spend 90% of the time on marketing and 10% on content, your content stinks, crickets. Like, or your first, fewer people are going to watch, and then nothing.
Right.
And so you have to have sort of that balance of, okay. And so that really got me thinking of what does this look like? Because I enjoy setting up live shows or setting up conversations with people, even if we record them and then I just post them later. Right. I really enjoy this. Let's get on a Zoom. Let's have a conversation about X, and I look forward to that. And then it's like an office meeting. I've got this. It's not, and it's harder for the family to be like, just do something else, help me move, or whatever it is. Like,
stop talking to yourself and come over here and move this furniture.
exactly. Like, spend time, whatever. So I think so that's sort of been the big change for me over this past week, is kind of honing that in and going, okay, like, what does that look like?
Pretty much, like, people view me as good at these things, and then I want to do these things, and then I can monetize with these things. And you get that kind of Venn diagram where it's like, okay, I'm getting a picture here of an opportunity in the marketplace where I can kind of fit, right? And then the thing that you just mentioned with Steph Smith, which is great segue, which is a great segue, is she wrote a book. She did notable things, right, that she can talk about, right? So she taught herself to code. Okay, great. What did you code? Well, I coded these programs. That's interesting. I wrote a book. Okay, she's becoming an expert in those things, right? And the peer group is what I'll call it, or your class of people, right? Like the people that are your similar follower count, topics, industry, genre, skill set, right? Like, you kind of find those people and just link onto them and roll with them. It's like, hey, I'm going to be on your channel. Hey, we only got 500 followers. Like, hey, let's do it, right? And you start building it, but it really helps when you're in a niche that really has a devout following, right? So if, like, you're in, let's say, like, crypto, and you're like, hey, I'm going to find other crypto people and I'm going to have them on. We're going to talk about this, or like DeFi, or get even more specific, like NFTs, or DeFi or, stable coins or whatever it is. It's like, hey, let's all like, I'm going to find all the NFT people and we're going to jam. Right. So that's where, and then one of you will start popping, right? At some point, somebody will get good enough with their content, their format, and their expertise where they'll start popping. And then they jump up to that next level where it's like, all right, let's build a community. Let's start getting some products. Let's start monetizing, right? So, and then they'll pull you with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to become kind of a go-to source in your own right, in your own, like what you're doing to have that kind of network effect happen, right? Where it's like, hey, Carter's a solid, channel about whatever. Like I recommend him. And then, hey, yeah, John is awesome, right? And you're like, hey, and so you can start to get that network effects where they're like, oh yeah, I've heard about you from this channel. Like, let me go jump over and follow them, right?
Yep.
Like I'm sure we've mentioned My First Million enough where people are on this channel are going to go check it out and be like, what are they talking about? What is that?
Yeah,
and then they'll be like, oh, that was a good, that's pretty cool, right? So yeah, that's all I'm saying. That peer group, but don't the one-on-ones are more learning at this point and kind of building your network and stuff. So I think identifying who is the Jordan Petersons and the the people that you follow that are like the upcomers that are like, hey man, I just started, but you see in them something that you're like, hey, I know you only got 1,000 followers or 500 followers or 200 followers, but man, like you're talking my language. Like, let's link up. I'll have you on the show. And people at that level, like at our level that don't have any following, like of course they're going to get on, right? Like they're going to want to talk about whatever they're talking about. They're going to get on. Now, what's hard is when people try to jump outside of their peer group and they ask the Jordan Peterson, like, hey, can you be on my show? And it's like, well, man, like maybe, but probably not.
I mean, yeah. So that's going to be like a side project of, okay, who are those people? Research that, who are the people just outside? Who's a stretch? Who's a dream?
There's a concept called a Dream 100, which is your dream list of people that you want to be in your ecosystem, in your network, right? And you list like these are the most ideal people I want to do business with or partner with or just know, right? And so you list off all these people. You create a Twitter list of them, right? You create a YouTube channel list of all these people, and you just follow them religiously for as long as you can, right? Like everything they tweet, they put out, every YouTube video, you know about it. You watch some of it, you comment on it, you hit them up on Twitter, like whatever, whenever it's relevant. And that's why sometimes the clips can help, because if you talk about something that's a perspective that they also have a perspective on, and you have a unique take on it, and you like hit them up or tag them and say, hey, here's a clip where I talked about this, I agree, or hey, I totally disagree with you on this, here's my take on it. Then then it's like, man, this guy really has some like unique perspectives, man. I need to actually have him on my show, right? Or whatever. Like, let's do a product together. Like all these kind of things, you have to be, but you can't work with somebody if you don't know them and you don't know their content, right? So the Dream 100 is like, it's a dream list, maybe one day, but if you start now and start really understanding them and finding ways to help them, and it's a very like generosity thing, like they don't care, they don't need you. They don't need another friend. They don't need another YouTube channel trying to get them on their show. Like they could care less, right? But they're trying to achieve their goals. So, but if you follow them close enough, you're going to know what they need and what goals they have. And you're going to be able to be Johnny on the spot when they need something.